The critical thing for cities and suburbs is for the recycling of land so that you don't sprawl, because once you sprawl, you can't use public transport, like Peter Hall made very clearly. My only disagreement with Peter Hall is that it's not only about public transport. It is one of the things of the quality of life in a city. The vitality of life, we saw Notting Hill Gate, doesn't come out purely out of the bus or the train. It comes out of a very much more complex organisation. Now, the suburb combines the benefits of country living together with city living. Everybody needs a house. And I can well understand it. I totally sympathize with that. And we now, with this dominating factor of an environmental impact, with the dominating factor that if we don't lower the climate change patterns, we won't be here to discuss this in the future. This must become actually the prime point. Transport is part of it. But it's also about the livability in cities, because if you don't like to live in the city, you're going to move outside. And the only form we have, which is sustainable, is a compact city. Compact neighbourhood, compact suburb, don't mind how you call it. It's a sort of myth. I believe actually the suburb is a myth. Because it's been created very much out of a different period, when we only had horse and buggy. Then we had train. Actually, suburbs are part of the city. Let's stop dividing it. Nor do I believe, and here Peter and I separate, that it's actually about figures and density. Yes, below 40 dwellings, above 40 dwellings, you've got serious problems, because you can't work public transport. But nobody can prove to me that New York works better or worse than London in terms of density. I wouldn't know how to prove it. At different ways of living. You've got a choice. You can live in the centre of London, you might live in a high-rise tower. The critical part about living in this place is that you've got the right amount of space, internally and externally. The higher the density of the cities, the more public space, the better it's going to be designed, the better it's going to be planned. So obviously if you plan it badly, yeah, it's probably more pleasant to live in a suburb, because it's more loose, it's more flexible. You can put trees down. But again, I have to question even Peter's wonderful slide of where he lives. It shows a road with cars. I'm not sure whether I really want to live on a road with cars. I mean, not all of us anyhow. So there's more to it. And I suppose what I'm trying to say is the complexity of it is what makes life interesting. And then we have problems to solve. So what's wrong with cities? What's wrong with sprawl? Well, whether it's sprawl or whether cities, we design it. Teams of people design these places. I think already we know about the problems with sprawl. The most serious problem, yes, is carbon, but even more serious is it is for the meaning of people. It sure is a sprawling place. It is not for the meaning of people. That's a much more serious. Sprawl, low density is car-based. It encourages cars. In terms of CO2, unacceptable. Another problem with low density suburbs, actually I'm going to say another problem with suburbs, is that it tends to take the skilled people are the ones that move out, leaving behind the getters of the poor. So it's a social problem as well. Very complex and very important social problem. The problem with new towns are basically that middle class skilled people. Terrific places to live if you're middle class skilled. Not many poor move out because they ain't got the choice. So there are social problems. I'm pro, I have to say, I think that new towns are were fascinating and very successful in many ways, but this is one of the problems. And I am actually against the expansion of cities, as we are looking at, even eco-city towns, until we have used all the brownfield land first. We have to recycle our buildings and recycle our land and densify around transport hubs. Don't care where it is. Suburb, city, medium density, doesn't matter. But that's what we have to do. The density, as Peter's point, I agree, of 40 is probably a minimum. But again, we have tremendous, Peter showed that slide, that image of how much tarmac you have. And the point being made is, well, after 40 you don't gain much. But interestingly enough, New York has about the same amount of tarmac as London does, except that New York has a density of, I don't know how you calculate, but let's say 10 times from the center, as much as London. Shanghai has Pudong, Shanghai is about 50 to 60% tarmac. Pudong, Shanghai, I don't know what the average height of buildings is, probably 40, 50, 30. Interesting enough, LA has exactly the same figure. How high is it? 2 stories, if you like. So I'm not sure what these figures mean. It depends how you use those figures. They're a tool and they can be used, but they don't give you what you really want, which is quality of life. It doesn't give you the vitality. I'll be quite brief. I think what we need to do, as far as suburbs are concerned, is to densify around transportation hubs, but also to give a public space. We should have a right to public space. We should have a right to open space. Everybody should have, everybody, I guess everybody after more than one person should have a terrace. Everybody should have a space outside. Everybody should have a doorstep to sit on. I'm using it. Everybody should be able to see a tree from their house, from their building, from their window. Everybody, every child and mother and father should be able to go to a playful space within 3 minutes. Everyone should be able to walk to a place where they can meet other people within 5 minutes. There should be a square within 10 minutes. There should be a right to a park within 15 minutes. That will make a much more vital city. Thank you very much.